My friend Richard Mancuso, um, we were friends for many, many years, and I met him pretty much right out of high school in Miami, where I grew up. I had just finished high school, graduated early, and went to Miami-Dade Junior College. And I forgot exactly where, but Richard always reminded me where we met. We met actually at Miami-Dade. I think he was there performing, singing, doing a show or something. I don't even remember what it was that he was doing, but I was outside playing my guitar with somebody, and it caught his ear, and he walked by and introduced himself, and we just became friends right there. He asked me if I was open to playing in any bands because he had a band, and I said I would love to, and we got together, and we never looked back. We've been friends until to this day. To the day that Richard died. But we basically would play anywhere and everywhere that people would have us. And one of the beautiful things about living in a place like Miami is you can do a lot of outdoor concerts, like the one that we're going to be doing coming up for the fundraiser. There was a band that Richard had with Mark Iguli, who was the co-writer of the song "Worth It All." That's where that song originated. The two of them wrote that. They taught me the song, and we used to do it. We would do it in coffee houses and restaurants. It was one of our original songs. So it was exciting to me that in some way we were creating our own music. So even though I didn't wasn't involved in writing that song, I still found it very inspiring and exciting because we were all starting to write music, to write lyrics and write melodies and not just learn other people's music, but make our own. So, I got to be part of the creative process of taking something original that nobody had done before and finding a way that we could make it special and do it. But there was just something always just special about this piece of music and what I just think what it reminded us of, and just the it represented. I can only speak for myself, but um, well, I can speak for Richard too in that it represented that time of our lives when we were out there starting to learn how to write music and have a band and get out there to performing and having a creative artistic voice. Um, so that's what that song to me always was. Through our many conversations, Richard had said, you know, he goes, I want to write a song for Anne Marie and surprise her. Will you help? You do me a favor. Can you do something for me? It's really important because I was always saying, what can I do? He said, you can help write a song. We were brainstorming about that, and just intuitively, I said, well, why don't we just take a song you already know, like one that you already wrote? How about Worth It All? Anne Marie really loves that song, and you love it, and it's really special to all of our history together and with you and Mark. And so I said, why don't we surprise Anne Marie and rewrite some of the lyrics to that song? This is kind of a cool opportunity because we can go back and alter some lyrics with this perspective that we now have as adults. We were young. You wrote that song when you were 20. You guys were, 18 or 20 or however old you guys were when you wrote that, early 20s maybe. And, now you're a grown man. You married a wonderful woman, and you have this beautiful life, and you have created things and accomplished things to be proud of, and let's write about that. And why don't let's use a melody you already know you can sing. And so he liked the idea, so we took it, and I said, why don't we write it from the perspective now looking back instead of there. You were a young man looking ahead. Is it really worth it all? You're asking the question, is it worth it all? And you don't know. You really don't know. Whatever it is you guys were thinking about when you wrote it, you're wondering, what is life going to be like? Well, you have a pretty good idea right now, because we've both lived a lot of life. We're both in our 50s. And so I said, let's look back I mean, the answer to the question is yes, it is worth it all. It has been worth it all. I mean, isn't that true? Is that true for you? And Richard said, of course. I go, then that's what we write about. So let's look at that and see if we can come up with changing some lines or just tweaking it in a way that's going to make it your perspective now, and then we'll get it to Anne-Marie and surprise her, and it'll be great. So that's what we did, and we worked on it, and it was inspired and emotional and fun, and it gave him something to else to do besides not feeling good, and and sadly we didn't get to finish the song. That's part of the beauty of opening this up to other songwriters as well, and creating uh, a contest and an opportunity to get other people's perspectives and to see what that means to them. And I would hope that their experience would be the same as what Richard's and mine were, in that we look at something, we look at a song, and say, well, how do I relate to what they're saying? Do I agree? Do I not agree? What the things that resonate with you, you sing. The things that you don't, you say something different that gives your perspective. And I think there's a lot of possibility here. So it's not just about writing the last verse. I mean, that's one way to approach it and go, well, now here's how do we end this so that it has a different perspective. But I personally, as an artist and a songwriter and a friend of both Mark and Richard who wrote this song, um, and somebody who used to play it, with them when we were all in our 20s, I think it's much more interesting to look at this and say, how can I put my spin on this, whatever that means to you as an artist, you know, and it might just mean that somebody might, you know, listen to the words that Richard and Mark, the song that they created many, many years ago, it might resonate for them exactly the same now, if they're 20, or 30 years old, and they might go, yeah, right on. I totally agree. They might, just have one line that they change that kind of makes it a little, gives it a little shift, a little different perspective or something. So it's a really lovely way for people to express themselves and how they feel about life and love and beauty and integrity and because I mean, is what worth it all? I don't know, getting up in the morning and making sure your kids get off to school, and have a good lunch, or doing great at work and really having integrity about what you do at your job, or being an athlete and trying to add an extra mile to your workout, or is that worth it all? The pain, the physical pain of running, you know, 15 miles instead of 10 miles? I think it is. You might not feel like it while you're doing it. I mean, there's so many things that you can say about it, but it's all ultimately universally the same story. We have a shared common experience as people.